number 10, Armie Hammer. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the Armie Hammer scandal by now. This actor had to be included on this list because it was the first big scandal that really blew up this year, and it really destroyed the actor's career. Back in January, some of Armie's private messages with other women came to light, depicting the actor in a not so flattering way. The messages, leaked by the Instagram page House of Effie, exposed the actor for his bedroom fantasies, among other adult things, and this created a snowball effect that led to people coming forward with their own allegations of misconduct against the actor. Things took a very serious turn, and soon an investigation was launched to look into some of the claims made by some of Armie's alleged victims. Because of the scandal and its severity, this took a huge toll on Armie and his career, and he lost a lot as a result. We know that no one is quick to forget a scandal like this in Hollywood, and so as a result of this huge scandal and the allegations against him, Armie started losing everything he worked for, including movie roles and representation in the industry. No one knows what the next step is for him, but one thing's for sure, he won't be famous next year. At number 9, Marilyn Manson. Another really huge scandal that happened this year that absolutely obliterated someone's career came from singer Marilyn Manson. This scandal shocked a lot of people because of how serious it was and how many people it affected. It all started when Marilyn's ex-partner, actress Evan Rachel Wood, came forward in an Instagram post to name Manson as someone who had harmed her for a long time. In her statement, Evan cited how manipulative Marilyn was, accusing him of brainwashing her, and told her fans about how Manson caused her so much mental, physical, and emotional pain. This caused more people to come forward later on, including Game of Thrones actress Esme Bianco, who came forward with some of the horrible encounters that she had with Manson as well. Following this scandal, Manson was dropped by his music label, and the LA County Sheriff's Department began an investigation looking into some of the allegations against the singer. It was alleged that his label covered up a lot of what Manson had been doing to other people, and that only made him look worse. Since this scandal broke, Manson has hit rock bottom in his career and social status because of how alarming this scandal was. So I don't think that the singer is going to be famous for the next little while. Before we carry on talking about the celebrities going into next year with a little less fame, why not take a brief moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Chris Harrison. With every season of The Bachelor or Bachelorette, there's at least one scandal. But earlier this year, things were a little different because a pretty serious scandal broke and it led to someone losing their job. The show's longtime host Chris Harrison landed himself into some hot water this year after he started facing backlash for the comments he made about one of the contestants' past. At the beginning of The Bachelor season earlier this year, photos of one of the Bachelor contestants was leaked showing her in a few compromising situations, specifically of her attending an antebellum themed party, and many fans saw this as highly offensive and racist. When the scandal first broke, a conversation was obviously sparked, but when asked about his take on the situation, Chris ended up offending some people as he responded saying that it was in the past. In an interview on Extra with former Bachelor/Bachelorette contestant Rachel Lindsay, when asked about this contestant's controversial photos, Chris was seemingly dismissive of her actions of her being at this party, and he continued to try and defend his stance, saying that he didn't want to make any comments before the contestant in question had spoken out first. Instead of helping the situation, fans of the show saw this as perpetuating racism, and so he was cancelled. As a result of this drama, Chris was let go from the show and hasn't really been seen much in the media since, prompting some to believe that he won't be famous anymore.
Number 4, Tara Reid. There's no doubt that the American Pie star was one of Hollywood's it girls in the late 90s and early 2000s. She was gorgeous and totally fit the funny, pretty girl archetype in movies. Tara achieved real fame by playing Vicky in the hugely popular American Pie series, and she was also in Cruel Intentions, Van Wilder, and Scrubs. However, at the time of her blow up in Hollywood, she was seen partying more and more and became less credible. Eventually, the publicity of her clubbing lifestyle led to her show on E! Called Taradise, which ended up flopping and just made things a whole lot worse for her image. From that point on, Tara would unfortunately be in and out of rehab and had trouble maintaining sobriety. The actress was also going through various issues stemming from botched plastic surgery, claiming in 2004 that breast implants and liposuction surgeries left her with disfigurements that damaged her career. She told Us Weekly, "My stomach became the most ripply, bulgy thing. I had a hernia, this huge bump next to my belly button. As a result, I couldn't wear a bikini. I lost a lot of work." She did, however, manage to nab a role in the comedy disaster film franchise Sharknado, but unfortunately, that reoccurring role wasn't enough to reboot her career.
At number 3, Jamie Lynn Spears. Another person who might not be famous in the new year is none other than Britney Spears' sister, Jamie Lynn Spears. Jamie Lynn got caught up in the scandal that was her sister's conservator case, and it did didn't end well for her. There was a lot of family drama involved, as you can imagine, but instead of laying low and riding out the storm, so to speak, she jumped into the spotlight, and doing that attracted a lot of hate towards her. Many of Britney's fans criticized Jamie Lynn for not standing up for her sister and watching her suffer through the conservatorship for so long. Things took such a nasty turn for Jamie that it damaged her relationship with Britney and has caused her to attract a lot of hate and scrutiny. Because this Britney drama is still pretty fresh in people's minds, Jamie Lynn might not be too famous in the coming year, and she might still be cancelled by a lot of her sister's fans. At number 2, Jesy Nelson. On October 8th of this year, former Little Mix member Jesy Nelson released her music video for her song Boys featuring Nicki Minaj. After the video dropped, the singer was promptly cancelled and backlash ensued as viewers immediately started commenting on Jessy's appearance in the video and speculating on whether or not Jesy was deliberately trying to portray herself as a black woman for the content, and people started calling her out for blackfishing. In the Boys video, fans pointed out that Jesy was using a lot of black-centric aesthetics in the video, most notably a darker tan. But with this blackfishing controversy came more drama as people started looking into Jessy's past with Little Mix. Soon drama started to unfold with the group as one of the girl group's members came forward to say that she had actually warned Jesy about blackfishing and how it's wrong, but Jesy still did it anyway, and even went so far as to claim that no one had ever commented on it until this video came out. Things got messy and some fans started second guessing their support for Jesy, so maybe in the new year we won't see much from the former girl group member. And finally, at number 1, Travis Scott. Travis faced a lot of backlash in the last few weeks after the tragedy that occurred at his Astroworld concert. The rapper's performance ended in tragedy as the chaos that ensued during the concert left multiple people dead and hundreds injured. 10 people lost their lives due to the events that unfolded, and many others are still recovering from their injuries, as well as the families of those affected still trying to cope with everything that happened with their loved ones. There was a lot of footage circling the internet showing what happened that night and the madness that occurred during the performance, with people showing the crowds of people and even some fans yelling "Stop the show." After the incident, we found out that the Houston police chief actually warned Travis about crowd control prior to the event, expressing his concerns for public safety. After people found this out, Travis started facing even more backlash as fans said that if the rapper really listened to this warning, these casualties could have been avoided. Travis has spoken out several times on the matter, but each time he makes a statement, it seems to make the whole situation worse for him, which certainly isn't helping his career or his fame. Because of the severity of this scandal, Travis might not be very famous in 2022.
And at number 10, Bow Wow. Bow Wow made a name for himself back when he was much younger and referred to himself as Lil Bow Wow. But now that he's older and losing relevancy fast, he's resorted to lying to look cool. And he's definitely posted some social media mistakes over the years. One was when he edited a photo of the original Death Row Records lineup from 1996 and included his face in it, which people called out for being photoshopped. Then he tried to brag about the fact that he was on a private jet, but his followers called that out for being fake too. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of people calling him out for fake stuff. And since his last acting and music successes were well over a decade ago, he's scraping the barrel to see what people will still watch. But it seems that Bow Wow is well aware of his sliding success, and even tweeted and then deleted, quote, "I'ma quit all this and downsize my home, sell everything, and go to work at GameStop," back in 2018. Since then, it looks like he's taken to YouTube and is having pretty decent success, so I guess we'll see if it sticks. In at number 9, Nicole Scherzinger. Nicole Scherzinger was the breakout star from the girl group, the Pussycat Dolls. And we found out later that she was the star because she was the only one in the group that actually sang anything. Yeah, like that's true. I didn't realize that. Like if you look in the credits, like it's literally her doing the main and the background vocals. Crazy. But after the group fell apart, she did her best to go solo, but her solo albums were not as successful as she'd hoped. After a lull in the biz, she became a judge on the X Factor UK, but allegedly she was fired in 2017. But she did have success as Grisabella in Cats on Broadway, but was disappointed when she wasn't considered for the movie remake. Although now I'm sure she was glad she wasn't included in that, disaster. Now she holds a guest spot on the Sidemen's YouTube original series, The Sidemen Show, and she appeared in a David Dobrik vlog, which is, quite a step down from where she once was. Of course, being in a David Dobrik vlog is iconic and amazing, but little lower than what she was before. In at number 8, Cody Simpson. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, the last time I cared at all about Cody Simpson was right after I learned that he was dating Miley Cyrus. But when they broke up, I went right back into not caring. In 2010, Cody was on fire and he was basically the Walmart Justin Bieber, but still very, very successful. But after he abruptly left his record label, he started touring with an old school rock band, enrolled at UCLA Film School, and started modeling too. But at about this time, he started to go into relative obscurity, and everyone just kinda started to forget about him. That is until Miley Cyrus rebounded with Cody and made him relevant again for the about a year or so that they were dating. Since 2019, he's released tons of music, so maybe his comeback will be happening any day now.
At number 4, Gina Carano. Let's talk about another celebrity who faced a lot of backlash this year. Actress Gina Carano, known for her role on the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, was exposed and cancelled for her old Twitter posts. Earlier this year, Gina began to face massive backlash for her social media posts that exposed her ideals and opinions that many people took offense to. Though there were a few posts that garnered a lot of negative attention, such as her comments on putting your pronouns in your social media bio, the one that seemingly was the last straw for her career was a post that compared being a Republican to being a victim of the horrors of World War II, saying that Republicans are being persecuted because of their political beliefs. A lot of people took offense to this and led to more backlash and to her getting exposed for her unpopular opinions. Other posts that caused Gina to face scrutiny include her tweets about voter fraud in the US, as well as posts mocking people who wear masks amidst the pandemic. Because of this scandal and all of the negative press Gina was getting, she was promptly fired from The Mandalorian and hasn't really been seen much since. Because of the nature of this scandal and the offensive things that were said, Gina might struggle to keep her fame in the coming year, because as we all know by now, Hollywood does not forget.
In at number 3, Angus T. Jones. Angus T. Jones was a child star that grew into adulthood while he was shooting the hit show 2.5 Men. But when he started to get older, he started to get major angst for showbiz and turned against his career. He even went so far to tell people to not watch his show or TV in general, which, isn't a smart thing for an actor to do. Jones ended up quitting the hit show in 2013 to attend college, but only a few days later he wanted back in on the action once he was asked to make a cameo in the 2.5 Men finale. He worked at an events company for some time, then got cast in a web show, and his horizons really don't look so great now. In at number 2, Brenda Song. I will never not see Brenda Song as London Tipton, because that show was just too big of a part of my life for me to ever think of any of the characters as anything different. And of course, being in any Disney project like that is gonna catapult you to fame, which is exactly what it did for Brenda. But after the show ended, the acting roles didn't really come as often for her, and the only notable role she was in was a small part in The Social Network, which, fun fact, is one of my favorite movies of all time. She also is known for dating some interesting men, going from Miley Cyrus's brother Trace to Macaulay Culkin. And even though Culkin is a massive star that will always be a notable Hollywood name, especially around Christmas, it really hasn't helped bolster her fame much. And finally, number 1, Rita Ora. Rita Ora was once named the most irrelevant pop star of all time. Well, in one article she was. She's kind of a funny person in the sense that she's famous and the Daily Mail writes about her all the time, but no one really knows why she's famous. A lot of people think she was a pop star, but she really wasn't, and she hasn't even released all that much music. And how she landed her spot on the X Factor, no one will really ever know. And she also manages to get invited to very high-class events, like award shows and even the Met Gala. The most notable thing she's done outside of her lackluster music is acting in the 50 Shades franchise and appearing on America's Next Top Model. I guess only time will tell where her career takes her next.
At number 9, Ellen DeGeneres. Last year, Ellen faced a lot of drama, backlash, and cancellations, and it completely tanked her career. It started with allegations of a toxic work environment and snowballed into her facing scrutiny for her comments on the lockdown experience, the Black Lives Matter movement, and even had people digging up old interviews to show how toxic she's been. With all that backlash she's been facing over the last year, her career has taken some serious damage. According to some sources, her show has seen a huge drop in ratings following her cancellation, and a number of advertisers had pulled their support from the show as well. Ellen announced the end of her show at the end of her 19th season. When news broke of her show ending after nearly 2 decades, Ellen said that this was a personal decision to end the show, saying she's looking for a new challenge, but I'm sure that her recent negative attention also played a big part in this decision. Because of this, she might not be very famous next year, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Before we carry on talking about some of the celebrities who might not be thriving next year, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at at it, why not smash that subscribe button to see more videos like this one. At number 8, J.K. Rowling. Last year, Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling came under serious fire over a number of things such as allegations of transphobia after she sent out a series of tweets that were seen as highly offensive to the trans community. J.K. spoke out on social media about her opinions and views on trans people, specifically trans women, and because of the comments she made, she faced massive backlash. Her words impacted a lot of people from the trans community, and they also had an effect on her business relationships, as those who have ties with her Harry Potter franchise were brought into this mess. Since her drama last year, the author has continued to lay into this, going along with the hate she's received. She was cancelled last year, but that veil still hasn't been lifted because no one is forgiving her. As a result of this continuing drama, her business has suffered and her HBO plans remain on the rocks, and her book sales have declined in recent months. JK cancelled herself, but she just keeps digging herself deeper and deeper, and she's losing fame and might lose it all in the coming year.
And at number 7, Frankie J. Grande. I kind of feel bad for Frankie because after all, he's living in the gigantic shadow of his younger sister, Ariana Grande. But it seems that being Ariana's brother has kind of become like his shtick to get into the limelight. But unlike his sister, Frankie hasn't really had much success with his ventures. And because of this, he takes practically any opportunity that's handed to him. And he's been on reality TV probably more than anyone in history. He's also well known for being one of the most hated people from Big Brother, using his relation to Ariana to stay in the house. And it's a tough spot. Like, I get he can't just do a normal job because that could put him in danger and really just not be a good look for the family in some ways. But he doesn't have much going for him other than, that familial connection. So I'm hoping he gets picked up for something good soon. And at number 6, Kevin Jonas. Any member of the Jonas Brothers will always be a big deal, especially for girls like me that grew up with them. But for Kevin, it's sad to say he was kind of the odd one out in terms of the group. Kevin was the first of his brothers to get married, have kids, and settle down out of the spotlight, with rumors circulating that he was the one that pushed for the band to split up in 2013. But right after the split, him and his new wife Danielle decided to try the reality TV route, and they started a show, Married to Jonas, which only lasted 2 seasons. After his failed stint on his own, his family moved back to suburbia, and he started a contracting business in New Jersey. But with a name like Jonas, you can never be out of the spotlight for too long. So him and his wife still appear at charity events and pose for promotional materials. However, the band came back in 2018, and although they had tons of excitement in the beginning, it seems to have worn off, and all the brothers are just settling down now. And honestly, at this point, I don't even think Kevin really wants fame anymore, so I mean, good for him for getting out of that then. Halfway number 5, Ray J. I don't know about you guys, but when I hear the name Ray J, the only thing I think of is Kim Kardashian. And I feel like a lot of people think the same way. And I think it's safe to say the only reason Ray J is relevant in the slightest is because of their tape. And after the tape, Kim K and her family have gone on to become some of the most famous people in the world, while Ray J went into obscurity. Ray J was in the Sharknado franchise, which isn't all that impressive, and his music was somewhat successful. And it seems the only way he gets back into the headlines is by bringing up Kim's name. And the last time he had any sort of relevancy, he was on Celebrity Big Brother talking about how Kim cheated on him. So I don't know, I think he maybe just needs to get out of the spotlight for his own good.
At number 3, Chris Noth. In one of the more recent Hollywood scandals to come out this year, Sex and the City actor Chris Noth has been faced with allegations of inappropriate contact, and he's starting to lose a lot. This scandal is still developing because it's so recent, but so far other former Sex and the City co-stars have come forward to support the alleged victims. As for his career, he's been fired from his role on the CBS show The Equalizer effective immediately. As he goes into the new year with the scandal and the fact that he's been fired, chances are he probably won't be all that famous in 2022. At number 2, Meghan Markle. As I mentioned earlier, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry made headlines this year after their interview with Oprah back in January. People became super obsessed with the couple, both in positive and negative ways. Since then, they've been in and out of the news, and a lot of people have wondered if Meghan will make her return to acting after leaving the royal family. So far, she's done a little bit of work in Hollywood, having narrated a documentary about elephants that's on Disney+, but people are wondering if we will see more from Meghan in the new year. Well, the answer is maybe, maybe not. Things are still a little shaky with the actress because of all the drama surrounding her and everything with the royal family, and she and Harry are also focused on raising their young family, so perhaps Meghan will continue to lay low for a little while longer. She might not be very famous in 2022, but maybe in the future we will see her return to Hollywood. And finally, at number 1, Amber Heard. Amber Heard seems to be laying pretty low these days following all of that drama with Johnny Depp last year, but that doesn't mean people have forgotten why they hate her. Amber and Johnny were the biggest story of last year, and after learning so much about the horrible things that Amber did, she's lost a lot of fans, and people have hated her ever since. We learned that she had gotten into a fight with her sister, she's been recorded confessing to hitting Johnny Depp, she's pretended to be the victim of a violent crime, she smuggled her dogs to Australia, pretended to not have known about the laws there, and tried to get her assistant to commit perjury, she's responsible for Johnny's severed finger, and she supposedly planted stories in the media to deliberately shift the focus from Johnny to her. Because of all these things that have come out about the actress, there are so many people from around the world who really just hate her, and there have even been petitions to have her removed from certain movies, and she's lost a lot of respect from fans and some Hollywood people as well. So because of her bad reputation and the fact that she hasn't really been able to come back from all that drama last year, she might not be too favorable in 2022.
Number 7, Zooey Deschanel. Best known for 500 Days of Summer as well as the hit Fox series New Girl, Zooey was a huge star during the high points of her career. But after New Girl came to an end in 2018, her acting career has slowed down considerably. In fact, she's been largely absent from our screens over the past couple of years and doesn't seem to have any major roles lined up. So what happened? Well, as we know, from 2011 to 2018, Zooey played Jess, a sweet, quirky teacher who moves in with 3 strangers in Los Angeles after a terrible breakup. And although the role landed her an Emmy and Golden Globe nominations, it also pigeonholed her as a performer and made her harder to cast in roles that differed too drastically from Jess. So between New Girl and 500 Days of Summer, the fact is that many of Zooey's characters fit the definition of the manic pixie dream girl, which is a term describing those quirky female characters with a Disney princess mindset who only exist to give the male lead a new lease on life. So when people started criticizing that character trope in Hollywood, Zooey received a lot of backlash for almost exclusively taking those roles. And now that it's not as popular as it used to be, studio heads are way more hesitant to cast her. Number 6, Mike Myers. His name is synonymous with the hilarious and charismatic character Austin Powers. However, the actor is reportedly very difficult to work with in real life, which meant that he eventually found it quite difficult to keep starring in major films. There have been numerous reports suggesting that Myers is a nightmare on set, with some even claiming him to be a control freak and just outright grumpy. It has come to light that the actor makes tons of demands of his assistants. In fact, Myers reportedly made life a daily nightmare for the cast and crew of one of his biggest films. According to Amy Hill, who was his co-star in The Cat in the Hat, she said it was a horrible, nightmarish experience. Hill claimed that he selfishly kept everyone waiting for hours, overruled the director, and even had someone standing by just holding his personal chocolates in a dish. Quote, "It was so weird, it was just the worst, I was miserable." Another story involves a fan that offered to buy the actor a drink. After telling Myers how much he enjoyed his work, Myers allegedly just looked at him and said, "I can afford my own drinks," cursed at him and said, "Save your money for my next movie." Apart from being notoriously difficult to work with, his mean-spirited attitude towards regular people have shrunk his fan base down to a fraction of what it used to be.
At number 7, Sharon Osbourne. Talk show host Sharon Osbourne found herself in some hot water earlier this year after making some comments about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Sharon faced a lot of backlash and crossed a line by making the harsh comments that she did about the royal couple, specifically about Meghan. This all went down on The View as Sharon Osbourne and Cheryl Underwood got into a heated argument surrounding Piers Morgan's remarks about Meghan Markle. During this feud, Sharon backed up Piers's comments about Meghan Markle's mental health and about the fact that she didn't believe what Meghan said about her mental health, and this frustrated Cheryl because she didn't like the comments that were being made about those involved. This very heated debate then got even bigger as this prompted an internal investigation after it was alleged that Sharon had been making disrespectful comments about her fellow hosts as well. This really blew up in her face as she lost her career and reputation and was promptly cancelled online. Because of this, we might not hear much from Sharon in 2022. At number 5, James Charles. Beauty YouTuber James Charles is no stranger to getting cancelled for having been caught having inappropriate relationships with a few of his fans under the age of 18. James has faced backlash backlash for this sort of thing many times in the past, but yet he still gets caught. This year, James was hit with backlash after it was discovered that he had solicited private photos from a fan who turned out to be under 18. James was exposed by said fan on social media, where he showed off their messages and photos sent to each other over the period of time that they had been talking. This happened late in February, but a similar event happened just a few weeks prior to this incident after a young man came forward exposing James and recounting how he and James had been having explicit conversations on Snapchat. The fact that James keeps crossing this line and keeps getting caught says a lot about him, and people are starting to catch on to this as a result. James not only lost his collaboration with Morphe, but he also lost out on a web series hosting job, and his channel was demonetized by YouTube. He's losing more and more fans as he gets caught in these scandals, so perhaps 2022 might be the year when he loses it all. At number 4, David Dobrik. For a lot of aspiring YouTube creators, David Dobrik was one person that a lot of people looked up to. He had a lot of success on the platform, but after his massive scandal earlier this year, a lot of people stopped supporting the YouTuber after learning of the allegations against him. David lost a lot of followers and faced a lot of backlash from the public after people started coming forward with allegations of bullying against David, as well as his Vlog Squad friends. Former members of David's YouTube friend group also came forward calling David out for bullying and creating a toxic environment, as well as orchestrating pranks that resulted in one friend experiencing trauma, and on top of that, a former fan came forward naming a Vlog Squad member as a person who was inappropriate with them while they were under the influence, and also exposed David for filming part of the alleged incident. Though he seems to be doing okay now that this scandal has blown over, we all know how unpredictable YouTube and the internet can be, and it just takes one more cancellation to really end someone, so in 2022 we might have to watch out for that.
Number 3, Katherine Heigl. Television medical drama Grey's Anatomy catapulted Katherine Heigl into the limelight. The thing is, she had a reputation of being extremely unpleasant to work with on set, and after trashing her most popular movie ever, she lost a whole bunch of fans. I'm talking about 2007's Knocked Up. It was not just hilarious but very well received all round, scoring an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes and bringing in $219 million at the box office against a $25 million budget. But Katherine was less than thrilled about her participation in the movie and called the film sexist, telling Vanity Fair in 2008 that she thought the movie paints women as shrews, as humorless and uptight, and it paints the men as lovable, goofy, fun-loving guys. She went on to say that she had a hard time with the film on some days because she said that her character was a B-word and a killjoy. Not only that, but Heigl's bad reputation stems largely from her decision to decline a second Emmy nomination for Grey's Anatomy in 2008. She released a wince-inducing public statement that claims she simply wasn't given the material this season to warrant an Emmy nomination. Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Number 2, Azelia Banks. With tongue-twisting lyricism, Azelia's debut single 212 is definitely one for the books. Pitchfork called it the 6th best song of the 2010s, and Billboard said it defined a decade. In fact, Rolling Stone placed it on the list of the 500 greatest songs ever made. The track was supposed to set her up for world domination, but these days it's hard to think of any artist that has been marred in such controversy as Azelia. Her social media presence has created scandal after scandal, and the list of people she has feuded with is so extensive that it has its own section on Wikipedia. Her celebrity beef is super random and impossible to keep track of. For instance, she went on a huge rant on her Instagram story last year, insulting Doja Cat's looks and her music, saying, "Doja makes music for 10-year-olds and is very derivative. Cute girl, but her attempts at witty East Coast Roman reloaded flows are pitiful and not in the least amusing. And yes, she looked terrible before she lost weight." And in 2018, she accused Elon Musk of investment fraud and called him a beta male who took steroids and got hair plugs to convince himself that he was an alpha. She still occasionally makes attempts to collaborate with other artists, but at this stage it would be difficult to find anyone that would still work with her. And coming in at number 1, Hayden Christensen. He was just 19 years old when he was cast as Anakin Skywalker, the man who would evolve into Darth Vader in the Star Wars prequel trilogy. It was set to be the role of a lifetime, and somehow, despite having limited leading man experience, Hayden was handpicked for the role out of a pool of more than 1,500 candidates. But unfortunately for the young actor, the prequels garnered overwhelmingly negative reviews from critics and fans alike. In reviews, his performance was referred to as unpolished, timid, and stiff, and many people just called him a straight-up bad actor. So instead of setting Hayden on a path for more high-profile film roles, the backlash that the prequels received led the Canadian actor to fade into obscurity. But it was also a choice that he made for himself at the time, telling the Los Angeles Times, "I guess I felt like I had this great thing in Star Wars that provided all these opportunities and gave me a career, but it all kind of felt a little too handed to me. I didn't want to go through life feeling like I was just riding a wave." Which is actually quite sad when you think about it, but he does seem content now with less prominent roles and actually seems to prefer life outside of the spotlight.